Well, I play electric 6-string violin, which is a pretty unusual instrument, and I play it solo concerts like I'm doing here. I play it as a soloist with orchestras, where I play electric violin concertos, which is kind of a new thing. And I play with a crazy percussionist named Future Man, who is Roy Future Man Wooten from the Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. We got a duo and that we do together.
So electric violin, many people may not totally understand the electric style of a violin playing. Can you kind of explain that a little bit, especially since someone of your caliber is here to explain that?
Yeah, well, first of all, this one that I'm playing in the shows, and what I play is a 6-string electric violin, so it's got 2 extra strings, because most violins have just 4. So it's got 2 lower strings, like 2 bass strings, so that it can go as low as a guitar. And because it's electric, you can put effects on it, pretty much everything that you would put on a guitar. So guitar pedals, regular effects, and stuff like that. So you can put distortion when it really makes it sound like an electric guitar, echoes, you know, all kinds of effects to it, wah-wah pedals, stuff like that. So, you know, stuff that you wouldn't be able to do with a normal violin, you can't get those kinds of sounds. So it's got a broader range, or you can play it just kind of more naturally sounding. So it's got a wider range because it goes lower, and it's got a range of different tones, wider range of tones.
You build your own violin?
Well, I used to. Back in the old days when I first got started, I built a bunch of them because you couldn't buy them because they weren't really invented yet, because we were kind of making the first ones. This one I designed and had a guitar maker build it, and I've been doing that for quite a while, just because, you know, I'm not a guitar maker, right. You know. They're hard enough to just play them, you know. Yeah.
Well, big names of pioneers when it comes to music. We're talking about Mozart, Beethoven, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles. Can we put your name in that kind of stature if you talk about that way?
No, don't put me up next to Beethoven, Mozart, or Jimi Hendrix, or the Beatles, or any of those people. They're you know, huge influences of mine, all of them. You know, obviously all the classical music that's influenced me, but in terms of rock and also sort of the different style that I'm playing the violin, because I don't play it to sound like a regular violin, you know, and my influences to do that were really people like Jimi Hendrix, Miles Davis on trumpet, John Coltrane on sax, people who were playing instruments that weren't violins, but were instruments that were very, and players who were very much sort of the architects of 20th century music, of rock and roll, you know, Jimmy Page, guys who wrote licks like that, Santana, Frank Zappa, you know, all those guys were the sounds that I was trying to get.
What place do you like playing the most?
Yeah.
What gets you going when you say, like, oh, I'm going there, awesome?
Well, Brazil is nice. I like going to Brazil. I've been there a bunch. Italy is always awesome. Pretty much anywhere. If you're American, I don't know, you know, it's always great to be somewhere else, but, you know, there's so much great stuff in the U.S. and, you know, my favorite places to play, a lot of times people ask me, you know, what's your favorite place to play? You know, you've been to Carnegie Hall or the Hollywood Bowl. You know, those places are awesome because, you know, because of where they are. But the truth is, some of the best concerts that I've done have been in like little house concerts. Places where you just feel so connected to the people. Because you could be in Carnegie Hall and it's like, oh, it's a big scary hall with a bunch of people, scary people out there, you know. But you play a little house concert for 40, 50 people, or at a college or something, and you get people who are just really into it and digging it and relaxed and enjoying it. And to me, that's the most fun, because the classical performance thing can be a little formal, and I prefer a more casual kind of setting.
Nice. So you are also an instructor at Belmont University.
Yes.
So can you kind of talk about that, just how your experience is also being a teacher as well as a performer?
Yeah, yeah, being a teacher is great. You know, I learned so much by teaching. You know, it's like the best way to learn, really, because when you know, learn about what I do, in explaining it, you know, you kind of break it down and you figure out how you're doing it. So it's really good that way. And I learned so much from my students because, you know, everybody's got a different way of learning and a different approach. So you learn how to explain it, you know, 10 different ways to 10 different people. So, you know, And my students are always coming up with stuff too of their own, like, hey, check this out. And I was like, mind if I steal that? So that's okay. I figure if they're my students, you get to do that.
Like, what is next for you?
Well, I'm always writing stuff. I just released a single track on a distributor called Dart Music. And it's a piece of mine that's probably going to be part of a larger work, so I've got to write the rest of it. Right. But because it's 2015 and you can do this now, the record label basically said, hey, let's just put out this first one, put it out there, and then we'll put out another movement when you write it. And because I'm on the road a lot, so I don't get a lot of chance to write. So I'm kind of working on that. That's kind of a work in progress. And I'm working on putting together a live show that's going to have a very integrated visual element, working with a video media artist named Benton Bainbridge. And we're trying to create a kind of a concerto for one, a solo show that's uses video in a really innovative way, so it almost replaces me on stage at times. So that's kind of the concept. So it's kind of the next work in progress.